There was a time when the world knew nothing of the electric light. Cities slept beneath the trembling light of torches, rivers flowed as slowly as ancient thoughts, and the sky was a mystery to be contemplated, not challenged. Into this time came a man who chose to see beyond the horizon. A man never content with the world as it was presented to him. He drew the mechanics of flight when no one dared to imagine it. He dreamed of machines when iron was still just a tool for the hand. He sought to understand everything: the water, the body, the wind, life itself. His name was Leonardo da Vinci, but the word genius is insufficient to describe him. His was a mind that traversed centuries, that saw the future in a world that had not yet learned its own present. An artist, an inventor, a scientist, a philosopher, but above all, a man who never ceased to wonder. Leonardo was born in the year 1452, among the rolling Tuscan hills of Vinci, a small village immersed in green. The illegitimate son of a notary and a peasant girl, he grew up far from the gilded halls of nobility. And perhaps it was precisely this freedom, this sense of being an outsider, that compelled him to reach for the heavens. As a child, he was an obsessive observer. The flight of birds, the eddies in a stream, the shadows that danced on walls at sunset. He drew it all, with the patience of one who knows that knowledge is not a race, but a gradual discovery. For Leonardo, to understand the world was an act of love. He did not study nature to dominate it, but to enter into a dialogue with it. When he arrived in Florence, the city was a crossroads of art and knowledge. In the workshops of the masters, the air was thick with the scent of oil paint and ambition. There, among canvases and chisels, Leonardo began to learn not merely to paint, but to see beyond the canvas. He understood that every brushstroke could conceal an idea, that every sketch could become a machine. From that moment, his life became a race against time. For Leonardo did not seek glory. He sought truth. And to find it, he would have to look where no one had ever looked before. He never stopped. Every thought was a point of departure, never a destination. In his notebooks, filled with sketches and script written in reverse, he left behind thousands of ideas, intuitions, and questions. He wrote not to be understood by others, but to continue understanding himself. He used a mirror script, legible only when reflected, as if his very words needed to be held up to a different perspective before they could reveal their meaning. He observed the world with the precision of an engineer and the soul of a poet. When he watched a bird in flight, he saw more than feathers and air. He saw the mathematics hidden in its movement, the invisible forces that held everything in balance. He sought to decipher the secret code of nature, to read the language written in water, wind, and bone. From that obsession, dreams were born. Visions the world would only begin to comprehend centuries later. He sketched machines that seemed to have arrived from a distant future. Among the yellowed folios of his codices, concepts took shape that no mind in the 1400s could possibly grasp. There was a device he called the aerial screw, a vast helix of starched linen designed to turn upon itself and ascend into the sky. It was, in every essential detail, the ancestor of the modern helicopter. Leonardo imagined the atmosphere as an invisible ocean and believed a spiral, if rotated with sufficient velocity, could achieve buoyancy upon it. An impossible idea for his time, yet uncannily close to the truth. He then designed an armored fighting range in a full circle, all powered by internal gears. It was a dream of iron, a mechanical monster that predated modern warfare by 4 centuries. For him, it was not an engine of destruction, but a challenge of intellect, an exercise to understand how humanity might amplify its own strength. And still, there were more. Machines to fly as birds do. For years, Leonardo studied the mechanics of a wing beat, drafting exquisitely detailed models of levers and pulleys. He pictured himself suspended between the clouds, propelled only by the wind and a yearning for freedom. "Once you have tasted flight," he wrote, "you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward, for there you have been, and there you will always long to return." It was more than a blueprint. It was a desire born of the soul. He even invented a self-propelled cart, driven by coiled springs and intricate gearing, a design many now recognize as the first true concept of the automobile. No engine, no fuel, only the purity of mechanics, imagination, and a perfect, cold logic. The visions continued. Machines for lifting water, mobile bridges to span rivers, a diving suit of leather and glass with valves for breathing beneath the waves, the first embryo of the submersible. Leonardo understood that the mind could travel where the... He did not draw simply to build. He drew to understand the very principles by which nature itself designed. He would look upon a seed, a feather, a wave, and from it distill a universal law. Between the lines and annotations, he imagined a humanity capable of transcending its own limits. And yet, these designs remained ink on paper. They were never built, not because they were flawed, but because they were prophecies, delivered to a world still bound by its medieval past. But his true magnitude was not in the cogs and levers. It was in his gaze. Leonardo saw what others failed to notice. When he painted a face, he was searching for the soul behind the eyes. When he studied the human body, he saw far more than just bone and muscle. He sought the perfection hidden within every living thing. His anatomical inquiries, conducted in secret through the dissection of human remains, were a silent revolution. He charted the hidden rivers of veins, the architecture of organs, the taut cables of sinew. With the precision of a surgeon and the grace of an artist, he sought to comprehend the very mystery of life, as if each line drawn could reveal its essence. And then there was the art. The Mona Lisa, her smile suspended between enigma and truth. The Last Supper, capturing the precise, shattering instant the human soul fractures between faith and betrayal. In every painting, in every sketch, Leonardo was searching for something no one else could see: the connective tissue between the visible and the invisible world. In Milan, under the patronage of Ludovico Sforza, he designed machines of war and studied the physics of musical instruments. He could pivot from the mechanics of a cannon to a melody for the lute within the span of a single day. His mind was a relentless vortex of ideas, a consciousness that never slept. Yet behind this towering genius lay a profound solitude. Leonardo was surrounded by admiration, but understood by few. "I have offended God and mankind," he wrote, "because my work has not reached the quality it should have." Words that tremble with weight, a confession that even the greatest of minds can feel incomplete. In his final years, Leonardo retreated to France, to the court of King Francis I. He was an old man, but his mind knew no age. He would walk the gardens of the Château d'Amboise, observing the flight of birds with the same wonder he had as a child. A century of discovery and dreams had passed through him, yet the same flame burned within, to understand the why of it all. He was still drawing, still filling notebooks with observations on the motion of water, on the properties of light, as if attempting to grasp the world's last secret before his departure. He no longer sought glory, but the quiet peace of knowledge. Perhaps in those final, silent days, he truly understood what it meant to be a genius. To no longer know where curiosity ends and where life itself begins. Leonardo died in 1519 at 67 years of age, reportedly in the arms of a king who considered him a friend. He left behind an immeasurable legacy, thousands of drawings, studies, and ideas that speak to us still. But more than this, he left a question. What might we be capable of if we learned to see the world through his eyes? He was not merely a painter or an inventor. He was a bridge, spanning the chasm between what we once were and what we might yet become. A man who dreamed of flight when the sky was an impassable barrier, who chased perfection knowing it was forever out of reach, but continued the pursuit all the same. We fly, we build, we explore, and yet we often lack his profound curiosity, his elemental sense of wonder. From Leonardo, we learn that true greatness is not found in knowing everything, but in never ceasing to ask. Every time we gaze upon the sky and dream of transcending it, every time we sketch the form of something new, every time we seek to comprehend the mystery of the world around us, his dream endures. It lives on, not in his paintings, nor in his coded manuscripts. It lives on in us. For as long as there are men and women capable of dreaming, Leonardo da Vinci will never truly be gone.